And welcome back. We're with Alex Jones. We're going to take your phone calls as well. What do you think about Hadron Collider at CERN? Thing is broken down. It's not going to start again, Alex, until next spring.
George, you must be psychic. Literally, I didn't talk to you during the break, and I wanted to bring that up before we went to calls, and then you just brought it up. I am here looking at the press conference they gave a few days ago. There have been not one, not two, but three disasters there. They kept it secret for a few weeks that a huge transformer had exploded. Now I'm looking at the London Telegraph saying there was some other explosion. So let's get this straight. We have the cyclotron, or the superconducting supercollider. And we have all of these mainline physicists and scientists that are saying, hey, we're not saying it's going to make a black hole. We're not saying it's going to destroy the Earth the first time it's used, or a strangelet or some particle that negatively or positively charges the planet and destroys things. What we're saying is the mathematical equations show that there is a probability, a low probability, that this could happen. And there hasn't even been an environmental assessment done in the United States or in Switzerland or anywhere else concerning these. And
if your kid, and I just want to interrupt you just very briefly to set the stage for what you're about to say, if your kid borrowed your car and got into 3 car crashes, wouldn't your confidence wane a little bit in your child's ability to drive that car?
No, that's it. You stole my thunder. So, look, I live here in Texas, and I remember in the early 1990s, they built about half of the Waxahachie superconducting supercollider that was going to be as big as CERN, or bigger, a little bit bigger, and it was going to go from South Dallas all the way down to Waco. The start of the circle up by Dallas, south of there, all the way down to Waco. And I remember then reading mainstream scientific journals saying, hey, when you cross 2 streams, when you take heavy particles being fired at light speed, and you speed them up and start shooting them into each other. Look, Max Planck, 100 years ago, it was like 1909, came up with the equations that created the atom bomb. And so that's almost 100-year-old theoretical technology. And then, of course, 1945 with the Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So we know these forces have the capability to really damage our way of life, destroy a country, destroy the planet, destroy the solar system, rip a hole in the space-time continuum. And all of these top physicists in Germany, the United States, England, Japan have said that going up to these power levels, I mean, no one said that when the Hadron Collider, at least no one serious, no one said that when the International EU Collider turned on a few weeks ago that it was going to destroy the Earth that day. What they said was there is a chance that it could cause serious problems. There are hundreds of different equations that show different types of major events that are devastating, and that they plan to do a series of experiments, and bizarrely enough, by 2012, to have it at many thousands of times the power level that it's going to be when they turn it on, already being 4 or 5 times stronger than any other collider ever. So we're talking about thousands of times what it's going to be when they first turn it on. And when they first turn it on, just to take it for a test drive, it starts exploding and things start blowing up, and then they keep it secret. If I had a teenager that wrecked 3 times, I'd take the keys away.
Yes, you would.
But if the teenager kept it secret from me a couple times, and then I found out, I mean, what else don't we know about? So this is an incredibly powerful system, accelerating heavy particles. They admit that, it may make a black hole, but we don't think it'll start feeding on itself and destroy the Earth. They've already created artificial suns in laboratories. They've already done a lot of these things. So I remember reading, and these are on YouTube and Google. You can hear the inventor of the atomic bomb. You can hear them, a bunch of the inventors, talking about, I am Shiva, I am the god of destruction. And what is the patron saint of the Hadron Heavy Collider? they're in CERN, it is Shiva. They have this big idol to her, the god of destruction and rebirth. And some of the physicists, some of the scientists thought that the A-bomb tested in the United States back in 44, they thought that it might ignite the atmosphere and burn the planet up. Now,
that's right.
Now, it didn't happen, but the point is the guys that invented it thought it might.
That it was a possibility. Mathematically, they thought, well, we'll be okay, but they thought it could happen.
And then in the 50s, in one night, this is in that incredible documentary Trinity that William Shatner narrated like 8 years ago, they detonated over 100 high-powered hydrogen bombs in the upper atmosphere to try to ignite the atmosphere or to try to create a magnetic pulse to destroy all electronics. I mean, the point is, just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, and there's incredible oversight over a hillbilly being able to buy a stick of dynamite. But there's almost no oversight over what these mad scientists are doing with genetic engineering, cross-species, genetic splicing, chimeras. All of this is already causing major, major problems. And I'm all for scientific advancement. I love technology. I think it's great. But I just think we need to be a little more careful about this. But then you get into these nihilistic New World Order people, and you really read their writings, they want to play God. But, I mean, George, I want to get your take on this.
Well, absolutely. I've been saying all along that, I've lost confidence in their ability to perform out there. And if there's one minutia of doubt, they need to investigate this. They truly haven't talked to the scientists who are truly concerned about it. Not all the physicists think anything's going to happen, but there's a handful out there that think something could happen. They ought to listen to them.
Well, you're right, and George, some of them are top physicists, and you're right, it is the minority, but I've seen videos with different CERN physicists and technicians, technocrats, saying, well, it's a very low probability, but it could cause something, but so what, we're going to do it. I mean, the point is, they're dealing with forces that they admit could rip a hole in the universe into another dimension. They're dealing with forces that, I mean, you know what a strangehold is.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, it could create a new type of matter which exponentially will basically take over all the other atoms and all the other molecules that make up this planet. It could create a negatively or positively or a particle that doesn't have a charge, this is from the physicist I've interviewed, I know you have as well, that would sink to the center of the Earth, and it would take decades for it to start getting up to exponential size, and then suddenly it'd be the size of the moon, and then a few minutes later it'd be the size of the Earth. So, well, whatever. The point is they can't even keep this thing from exploding and setting on fire, and they admit they're dealing with tectonic God forces. Just God help us.
Good point. Let's go to Kathy in Port Angeles, Washington. Hey, Kathy, welcome to Coast to Coast.
Hey, how are you doing? Good to hear you again, Alex. And I have a question. Do you think that they are going to take veterans' pensions away from us? And do you think that they'll make all these people go back to work, and if you don't work, yeah, that's too bad? And
good question. And they never talked about Social Security in this mess, Alex, have they?
Well, no, they haven't. They've already stolen all that money.
That's gone.
Taken. It was spent. The government went into debt to private banks that created.
Those who are putting in now, you, me, and people who are working, we're putting it in for the people who've retired, but there's no other money there for them.
Yes, and if it was just invested with 5-6% return guaranteed, everybody would get millions. But instead, we get a paltry stipend, barely enough to live and buy dog food. And the Congress took it, they leveraged it, they put it into debt. It's long gone. Now, instead of us being roped into just Social Security, we're being roped into something that in the aggregate means millions of dollars of debt per citizen. Remember, it's all fiat, created by the private banks out of nothing, and then through this king has no clothes Ponzi scheme, they con us into going into it. But I got sidetracked off into the first part of the question. What was the other part, George?
Well, let's take some more calls because we're almost out of time.
Okay.
But basically, she was saying, where do we head? What do we do?
Okay, where do we head? Ladies and gentlemen, we're in a pickle, and I basically covered that with a root canal analogy. All we can do is remove these criminals from the power structure. They orchestrated it. They implemented it. I mean, Paulson literally wrote the book on the last bailout. He is the architect of all of this. He is the front man. He is the CEO for the crime syndicate, and then he's going to orchestrate the next phase. We've just got to say no to anything they propose.